Hi, and welcome to the Sidcourse. Like discourse, but my name is Sid. Tattooing as an art form has had a fascinating history around the world in many cultures, old and new. The Maori people of New Zealand have a rich culture where tattoos have played an integral part of their history. Throughout Africa, different regions have had a varying attitudes towards tattoos. Ancient mummies, dating back to 2,000 years before the Common Era, have been adorned with inked symbols. Sub-Saharan African tribes are known to beautify themselves through scarification as an offshoot of tattooing. Pre-colonial America has also had a rich tattooing culture with its native population. And of course, there's been a darker side to tattooing, from marking criminals on their arms, body and faces, to the branding of Jews, Gypsies and others by the Nazis. The act of marking the skin with ink has many connotations throughout history. And in this episode of the Sidcourse, we're going to look at one subculture that has embraced tattooing. A culture whose tattoos play a symbolic role in a video game franchise that has spanned across 8 titles and 8 spin-offs over 15 years. In this episode, we'll be uncovering the tattoos of Yakuza. Blood for ink. That is the price of a tattoo. Symbolically, that is. In reality, their price changes depending on the amount of work and the expertise of the artist. And in the world of the Yakuza, an organized crime syndicate based in Japan, it's been a long-standing tradition within its members to get tattoos that cover a significant amount of their bodies. Japan's history with tattoos is uneasy, to say the least. The act of marking one's body in many cultures over the years has been frowned upon. Only in recent years has the stigma of tattoos in the Western English-speaking side of the world been lifted and become mainstream, with sports personalities, musicians, actors and other public figures openly displaying skin art in the mainstream. Though still frowned upon by many, it's considered to be a reasonably acceptable practice today. However, Japan and most of East Asia still has a dismissive attitude toward it in contemporary settings. Underground subcultures are obviously more rebellious to the standard culture of conformity. In the 19th century, tattooing was outlawed by the Meiji government when Japan opened its borders to the outside world in order to make a positive first impression in the face of its new international status. And it was only repealed in 1948 during the period of American occupation. Naturally, during that time of illegality, it drove tattoo artists and their customers underground, furthering the already negative mindset in the East of tattoos as symbols of criminality. If we compare the different styles of tattoos, specifically from a Japanese and Western design standpoint, you'll notice some pretty distinct differences. In the West here, those of us that like getting tattoos don't typically commit to a large singular piece. It's more commonplace for people to get smaller ones that symbolize different things for different purposes, and over time, these tattoos become a small collection. Symbols, imagery, or typography representing loved ones, important dates, accomplishments, affiliations, and the like are all fairly common types of tattoos that are placed on people's bodies. However, when it comes to the Yakuza, it's more likely you'll find one singular piece per person, one that covers almost their entire body. Japanese tattoos are very much inspired by Japanese art and history. Reminiscent of traditional woodblock prints from centuries ago, this timeless style embodies a level of grace and heritage that has been passed down for generations, and now found its way onto the skin of the criminal underground. In East Asia, especially in Japan, there is an honor in perfecting one's craft to a level of mastery. You will always find these masters in all walks of life, people who have given their lives to the art and science of their chosen craft. Sushi masters who have spent decades owning the perfect cut of tuna. Sword masters that have trained for years to forge a blade that carries a soul. Calligraphers who have spent a lifetime on mastering the written form. And for the tattoo artists in Japan's history, it is the same. These practitioners have trained for significant portions of their life in their art form to place ink onto the skin. Their view is that these pieces that cover the whole body are one singular art piece. In the Western world, we're more accustomed to having these smaller pieces, a montage of our lives. A comparison could be made that just like the artist who has devoted their life to the craft of marking the skin, so does the wearer in devoting their body entirely to this art. For an organized crime syndicate, lifelong devotion to this way of life marries well with the idea of full body tattoos. Dedication to your family, devotion to your patriarch, deference to your true self. One of the hallmarks of the Yakuza games is its wild cutscenes and exaggerated combat. Unrealistic and bombastic, It has this exorbitant energy that makes it outrageous and brings the streets of Kamurocho to life before each of the boss fights in the game with the literal bosses of the Yakuza families and other notable figures. Their characters will strip off their upper clothes in one swift motion to reveal their tattoos. Inspired by real-life Yakuza that would display their tattoos as a means of threat, it shares with the audience the, ironically, seriousness of the battle at hand. These tattoos are customarily kept secret, designed and placed in a way that regular clothing would cover them up on a day-to-day basis. Their revelations to the characters, and in turn the player, showcase the immense presence of these characters. Like the paintings found on walls from thousands of years ago, tattoos, for the most part, tell stories of their owners. The birth of a child, the death of a parent, the cover-up of an ex, the success of a challenge, the affiliation to a community. These stories are part of who we are and who we want to be, and this is no different from the ones worn by the Yakuza. Generally speaking, if you were to go to a tattoo shop in the West, you'd be asked what kind of tattoo you're seeking, either providing a design yourself or commissioning an artist to do something for you. For the Yakuza, traditionally the artist decides for you, embellishing the wearer with what the artist feels is something that is representative of them. It is a time-honored ritual. Japan, as a nation, has a deep connection with its heritage. The myths and legends told through its stories in paintings, poems, and prose have been passed on for generations. Mythological creatures are common across the world, and in the land of the rising sun, they too have their own. One of the most common of these creatures is the dragon. Unlike the grandiose, winged, and fire-breathing creatures found in European stories, Eastern dragons are more serpent-like, bearing camel heads, bird talons, stag horns, and koi scales. They're said to be protectors of humanity, and in their tattoo forms they represent bravery, wisdom, and strength. And, for all intents and purposes, dragons are considered to be pretty cool. Characters like the main protagonist Kiryu Kazama is nicknamed the Dragon of Dojima and sports an ascending dragon on his back, the representative of his evident strength and constant upward mobility. The dragon holds a pearl in its claws that bears the Sanskrit symbol for the year of the monkey. The year 1968 is the year of the earth monkey in the Chinese zodiac, and it is said that they have a brave heart and they keep an optimistic attitude towards life. Confronting with adversities, they are calm, independent, and tactful, a fair description for the series' main protagonist, who was born in that same year. Other characters in the series have sported dragon tattoos too, most notably the prime antagonist of the second game, Riju Goda, who carries a golden dragon on his back, equally formidable, powerful, and its forward-facing face imposes a level of authority. Other creatures from myths included in the Karahashi or Fudo are also commonplace, as the symbol of guardian protectors, and is represented on the body of Shigeru Nakahara, a caring protector that's well respected within his clan. Or even something like the Kirin, a chimeral type creature. It resembles a deer or a giraffe, worn by the likes of Yoshitaka Mine. Though the Kirin has connotations to death, appearing at a time when leaders would pass away in myth, it's meant to signify a better tomorrow. The golden Kirin that Mine wears is symbolic of great wealth and riches evident by his successful businesses. Of course, other creatures more realistic in nature are also present among Japanese tattoos. The tiger appears twice within the series. First on the back of the ferocious Futoshi Shimano, who's both the first boss of the first game and one of the hardest many players will face when starting their journey through the games. And then for the character Tiger Saejima, whose tattoo was designed because his name sounds like tiger. Snakes are also a popular motif for tattoos, and in Japanese art and mythology they differ to their Western counterparts. Where snakes appear as distrustful and devilish in Abrahamic religions, in Japanese and other Eastern settings, it's seen as a symbol of protection, healing, and change, as can be seen by one of the more prominent characters, Rikiya Shimabukuro, of whom sports a viper on his back, and becomes a protector to Kiryu in the final act of Yakuza 3. And when you have symbols like dragons, tigers, and snakes, very aggressive-looking creatures, it's interesting to note the more serene animals that appear in the tattoos. I know if I were to add a complete Japanese back tattoo to my collection, I'd probably go with a dragon. I was born in the year of a dragon. My star sign is a Scorpio, so picking either of those would make sense to me. So why would someone get a giant fish tattooed on their backs? In Japanese mythology, the koi fish appears many times, most notably in the story of the koi swimming upstream to the Dragon Gate in the Yellow River. It's said that the carp who manage to overcome these challenges of swimming upstream and cross the gate, they will, in turn, become a dragon. For most people, myself included, they'd more likely than not focus on just becoming the dragon. However, the best kinds of tattoos aren't just the ones of who you want to be, but of what is right for you. The red carp found on the back of Akira Nishikiyama is not about being the dragon. It's about ambition and continual drive to persevere onwards. Koi fish have extraordinarily long lives and are symbolic of longevity, vitality, persistence, and overcoming the trials of life. And that is evident in Nishiki. Growing up with Kiryu in an orphanage, Nishiki is always looking to move upwards and earn his own patriarchy. His ambition plays a huge role in this character, and the red carp that adorns his back is the perfect match for him. And of course, there's the other side of mythology with creatures outside of our realm. Demons, ogres, trolls all inhabit the mythos of ancient Japan. One that's prevalent in the Yakuza games is on the body of fan-favorite Goro Majima, who has a Hanya mask tattooed on his back. The Hanya, like the male Oni, is a female demon, and for the wearer, it symbolizes the rage and craziness a woman may experience. It originates from a story of a woman whose husband had a mistress, and the wife's fury turned her into a demon after killing said mistress. The white mask, as a tattoo design, is one that represents anger, popular amongst Yakuza members because it shows their targets that they show no mercy. This is representative in Majima's mad dog persona, who appears to be unhinged most of the time, yet fiercely loyal to his patriarch and clan. Tattoos are permanent, but at the same time, they're not. Unlike books, films, games, and other mediums for telling stories, they can't be archived, told again, and passed down. They're lost with the owner, and I think that's what's tragically beautiful about them. Stories over time about individuals, whether remarkable or not, that are part of their experience. But when they're gone, these tattoos, these stories, they're gone too. It is unlikely that many of us will ever attain fame or glorious riches. For the most part, we will all live humble lives. But these are still our lives. They are worth living, and every moment is a story worth sharing, from something as simple as telling your spouse about your day to telling a new friend about your childhood. They are stories, big and small, and they are worth telling. And that's what tattoos are. They are the stories of a lifetime. Thank you for watching. Do you have any tattoos? What are they, and what do they mean to you? And if you don't, do you want them? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. A massive thank you to my patrons for making this video a reality. Without their support, I wouldn't be able to keep making videos like this. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, you'll get plenty of perks, including early access, director's commentaries, where my wife and I talk about the production of the episode in a pseudo-podcast, as well as the music I produce for the episodes as free downloads. You can find me on Twitter and Discord, and if you'd like to see more episodes of the Sidcourse, please do leave a rating and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Stay sexy.